All right, we should be back now. You guys hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, you can.
We'll ask him now.
Yeah. See if they can hear me. Hello? You guys hear me on stream? Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened there. I think it's probably in some kind of XSplit issue, given that my mic stopped working. But so what was I asking? I was asking. Just day to day, really. Just getting this media out. Kind of give us a sense of what that takes.
Well, there's lots of different parts to it, but just even talking about the media portion, we have to every show, the live capture, like in ProRes, 10-bit, it's about half a terabyte of data just for actual. And when we went live in season 3, the biggest challenge was to actually rebroadcast that. We would want to basically encode that down and get it ready so we could play it, and we had to encode it our way that it looks good on the rebroadcast. But for that much time, and with the rebroadcast being actually live, so we finished maybe close to 10 or 11 at night, and to actually do all of that in code to be ready by the rebroadcast at 9 the next morning was something on a day-to-day basis that was just a point of failure that just was going to fail at some point. So now with the solid-state drives today, and actually having Kingston, great sponsor, we're able to actually just on the DVRs play it right back. But that file moves and gets cut up by all the editors and all the different segments, and we lace it together with all the different shows that we filmed during the day. Because this whole office, there's always someone on the set. There's always an editor here, whether we're uploading to Twitch, YouTube, or up to GameSpot, send it that way. It's ridiculous for streaming and uploading, and also it's actually as a geek, I love all the hardware because this network is pretty robust here, so we're not stepping on it when we're trying to upload 10 places while we're streaming and then lose our stream. So on the technical side, there's a lot going on, but I think the real magic here is the people equation, that our casters are working their butts off behind the scenes every day. All those segments, that's all research, so they're putting together the just probably preparing for this show. There's certain work you do, but all the segments on a day-to-day basis these casters are doing, and that's from Lauren to Clutch to Bitterdam and Frotor. The pairs, they're all working on these things, and that's in Morgan is the head person corralling all those things, all those segments moving, and there's even in the production room there's 4 people that have to be there live for the streams and the pieces there. There's 3 graphic artists and 3 video editors in here, so there's about 28 people here that touch on a daily basis what we're doing. So there is quite a bit going on.
So is that 28 people total for NASL, or is that just on the media side of it?
It's 28 people total.
Okay.
I have a question about that too. And I'm at your site now too, and wanted to say also that the improvement on the website from season 1 is tenfold. It's excellent. The logo is great. Love it. One thing though, when I go to ESPN and I'm looking up the league information for the MLS or something like that, there's always those little tidbits of news items that I like to read about. Since I'm not a huge StarCraft 2 person, I don't play it. I don't really have time to. But I do like following the storyline in a league. Has there ever been any thought in ASL to add some writers, some content in that way, as opposed to videos, just like a weekly recap of how the matches went? And maybe I'm missing something too, because I was just on the website and I was just kind of looking for that.
No, it's definitely, I think season 1 we actually probably did the best as far as having news articles and writing it, and it's literally been all these resources we're throwing, it's been on the video side. And we tell those stories in recaps, but we tell them on video, and the highlights in some of those videos you can click on there and you'll have that storyline. But it's definitely something that we're lacking. We need to have better, because it's the Monday, Tuesday morning.
Right.
you watch things, you can't load a stream at work, but you can read the heck out of Team Liquid and Reddit and everything else.
Right. You want to catch up with what happened with the league that weekend or whatnot.
So I mean, on our point, it's something we definitely think we know we need, and it just the decision was kind of whether you have a nickel to throw at it. We threw it at the video side.
Right.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. It's also, that not easiest, but it's easiest for people to really connect with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Writers are, I don't know, maybe cheaper too. I guess whenever it comes to adding in later.
They're also more difficult to keep writing, to keep writing.
Well, and that's, I'm a big fan of actually physical, tangible people and working in the office where, trying to manage people across the internet is, something that makes me pull my hair out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you notice I have none. So.
Can you imagine if we didn't have Skype? Oh my gosh. It'd be impossible to rally, to corral people. Okay, so let's see, the next question I have here has to do with, let's talk a little bit about revenue. And, I know you guys have a ton of sponsors, that help with that. And I know you guys, do have ways of monetizing from the viewers, with the subscriptions, like on Twitch. I subscribe to y'all stuff. So, are those the only, I guess, sources of revenue you guys have right now? I guess advertising too, but are those the three main sources right now?
Yeah, that's 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so there's no other ones. Are there any others that I haven't covered?
Well, no, I mean, we are, we have this heroin ring, and we actually move
underground LSD chain. No,
right, no, but yeah, beyond all the illegal activities and, that we do, that's it. There's no secret formula. I mean, I guess each sponsorship is a whole other relationship, and you're making sure that you're giving them value and what they want to activate. So that's a huge part of it.
So I mean, the magic question is are you guys profitable right now?
I guess our problem is that we keep adding more to it. So I think it's been successful with subscribers. I think we're getting a better formula for us. I think the subscriber-only content this season has been great, especially because it's something extra we get to give value, and it's getting good results in an uplift in our subscribers.
Okay.
Real quick, I just had a quick question because I was on the website again too, and I've dealt with this in the past. Are you able to tell us a little bit about what the relationship is between you guys and Beyond Gaming? Because they're a whole separate entity, but there's definitely a mix. There's somehow a mix there.
There's somehow a mix.
I mean, you guys have worked with them since season 1.
I guess we're not, we're absolutely two separate companies.
Right.
But I guess in some ways you could say that we would be distant cousins. I know that it's basically, I think some of the VC people, we have friends in the same places.
Right. Okay.
Let's see. Next up, so I know a lot of folks, at least on Reddit, and I know a lot of folks that have been asking me to really bring this topic up today, which was, there's been a lot of issues with, I guess, players, missing matches, or even obviously the big thing that people have been discussing recently has been the Naniwa issue, where there was a miscommunication between admin and Naniwa, and he didn't end up playing his match because he thought it was at a different time, or it had been postponed, and then in the end, basically, he got a loss that I guess a lot of people, and himself included, don't think he deserved. So I kind of want to ask you about that, what is the policy and how are these things dealt with? Because obviously you being a league, you having 50 players, and you have to schedule these players to play these matches all season long. I mean, you're bound to have some no-shows and that sort of thing. But I kind of want to see what the policy is on it, just from a high-level standpoint, and then particularly with the Naniwa situation, what happened there.
You have to figure out. I don't think that's actually the outcome of the Naniwa situation.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought.
Download. Well, so from a high level, our rules are in place that everyone can reschedule. There's even a form now that they can do it online. But if they give us notice under the amount of time, whether it's 48 hours to reschedule the match, we still try to accommodate. We try to match them up with other players and see what we can do. But technically the other player has the right for the walkover at that point. We don't ever want to push that. The fans want to see the games. We want the games played, but the focus is always on the one person that missed it, but we're hurting the other player by not sticking with our rules. In the situation where NANL is, that we make mistakes. We have admins at different times of the day, and we try to do a good job communicating, but sometimes we make a mistake. And in that situation, I think it came down to literally the semantics of someone saying your game is going to be played later at the original time and use the word postponed. So NANL assumed that it's postponed, and we would tell him at some point in time when his match would be, and it didn't show up at the time that he had. Mm-hmm. So, and in that situation, we have, it's kind of like the court of law that you have to throw the evidence out if there's one problem. So if there's any reason that we could have screwed it up, then we get to reschedule it. So
are your admins in the office, or are some of your admins online? Since admin in the game, I mean, I don't know how you guys do it specifically. Does the admin come into the channel, kind of facilitate the match? But do you have any online admins, or are those all in the office as well?
Every admin we have works in our office here. So, okay. But yes, I guess they have to be online, right, to get on the game.
But sorry.
Yeah, but they're, and Duran is our commissioner. I guess if you want a scoop here, he is no longer our commissioner, and we'll be announcing a new one tomorrow.
Okay. Well, that was news. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah. Are you able to say what he's doing and why he's left?
He's with his CSL. He's going to go full time with CSL.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Good deal. Let's see. Regarding the same thing, is there like a 3 strikes you're out type of policy for the players? Like if they miss 3, let's just say there's just no shows for 3 matches, are they just out of the league after that, or?
Well, they get fined.
Oh, they get fined. Okay.
They get fined. Right. Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
There's money on the line for every match this season. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there's $150 that, and I guess the games have to be played. So I guess you're technically, the other player's losing out on the opponent, but the bottom line is we want to see games played, and. Right. And it also helps too that if someone can play, and sometimes maybe the opponent's tough, and they actually are probably privately hoping that they get a chance to get the walkover. But if there's $100 on the line, maybe that at least it aligns everyone's interest in the same way. Mm-hmm. That they want to make money, we want to show games. It works out really well because we both want the same thing.
Right. Well, on top of that, finding is taking away money, which is even more of motivation, I think, than not winning money. So.
And the thought there is, that's where, like Naniwa, he's still not on the team, right?
Yeah. Yep,
so it makes things even more difficult when you don't have teams that can help facilitate and help the players schedule. Mm-hmm. But we have a full staff here. We have cameras ready to go, and we're, kind of basically money's flying out the window mm-hmm. when people don't show up, and we're just waiting, for someone to go, clean their room or microwave a burrito. It doesn't. It's the money on the line. So that's right. Why it's there, and it's a serious factor. It's not a problem if it's not a problem, and there's been teams and players that have gone all 3 seasons, never been fined. There's other ones that, get the pay to sleep a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely going to take time to get the players on the same page as a lot of the leagues as far as and organizations as far as how serious they take this and really turning it into something professional, because there's still a lot of players out there that just, like you said, think they can get up in the middle of it and go take a 20-minute break and just leave the other player hanging. They just forget that there's a whole business beside it.
And that's, I think, with the scheduling stuff, it is difficult, and we need to be able to do, get better tools and be better at it. And even, we find times too where we're dealing with players around the world and around the clock, and sometimes, we have trouble talking to someone in the office next door to us, and getting that message right also. So it's I guess on both sides is, we have some of that not taking it serious, but it's something we need to get better at and be more proactive in thinking about, better tools and these sort of things that can help this happen. I mean, with time conversions and tomorrow in Korea, it's happened. I know that some of our mistakes one time is that, out of all the games that we do and scheduling matches, someone just didn't count right and did a math error, and people at 2 different times, and that happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, again, we're talking about, like, I mean, I don't want us to really, I don't want people to think that we're saying that, the players are just not doing a good job, and they've just been, like, obviously skipping a lot of these matches. I mean, we're talking about 50 players. We're talking about matches every night, pretty much, almost, for the most part, and we're only talking about a few incidents. So
we're talking like 900 games, 300 matches.
So overall, has
it gotten better since you've added money to each of the matches?
Well, but at the same time, it got worse because we went live.
True. Yeah, it makes it more difficult.
Right, and that's people in season 2 didn't want the games were stale and they were too old and it wasn't good. Well, this is the price of live. Is that and it's been, we actually relaxed the season a bit to reschedule, and our fear kind of came true, is that that's kind of taken advantage of a little bit, where we have more reschedules and people. But look, the tournament season is getting more ridiculous, and these teams work hard. We throw 300 games at these teams, and we're not the only games their players are playing, and they're traveling to events, and it's definitely been challenging with WCS on top of everything else going on to get the games played.
Exactly.
Yeah, November is going to be hell for a lot of players.
November and early December, I think. It's going to be crazy.
It's going to be nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just going to calm before the storm here. It's actually been a nice couple weekends. I think that hasn't been a real major event in the last 2 weekends.
Yep, that's right.
I think that's over.
Yeah, it's coming. The storm is definitely coming.
So, we've got probably, 15, 20 minutes left. So I definitely wanted to get into really getting your perspective on the future of the industry. And I kind of wanted to start with Valencia, Congress. Obviously, you were part of one, the panels there. And, I enjoyed those panels, and, enjoyed your, hearing your thoughts on some of the things, like, whenever you got a chance to talk, because there were some that you didn't get much of a chance to talk. So that's kind of why I wanted to ask you some questions here, because
sure,
certain individuals were definitely talking a lot more. But I want to ask you, a lot of talk is about, like, this overlying association or overlying governing body or whatever that would kind of manage the entire league. And a lot of folks have been talking about the golf model or the tennis model being maybe something that would work for esports, which is a tournament circuit where each organization would take maybe a major or just tournaments along the circuit. My question to you is that you run a league, right? So that doesn't fall into that model at all. So I want to ask you, you seem to agree that everybody should be starting to work together, right? From the standpoint of, maybe from a scheduling standpoint. But
most of us were already, we're all partners with Blizzard, at least the leagues, MLG, IPL, ESL, DreamHack, and GSL. We're all partners, so we all have to work together in that respect. Most of us, MLG, and us, we're partners with CBS. So in scheduling, we're already communicating, and we're all friendly enough. But with live events, it's these are the weekends we're shooting for, and stuff like that is hard to move. But no one wants to be on the same weekend as another major event. So I think that level is already happening. Mm-hmm. That I don't think there's been any major problems there as far as we all wish we could do better, or have an extra maybe we have a 58-week year or something where we can add more weeks to a year. But,
yeah,
we're already that's already happening. It's not institutionalized where we have we're all not in the same Skype chat group or something, but we have our people talking.
But if something like that were to happen, where a circuit was put together, NASL really wouldn't be included in something like that, because you guys are much different. You are the only real league in North America, at least. And how would you work together with them if something like that were to be put together? I mean, what would you guys continue to just do your league model? I mean, let's say MLG and some of the other big boys got together and said, okay, we're doing this. We're gonna actually put a structure in place that will help grow esports. Well, you guys are kind of on the outside looking in, but you're still at the same time I think a little bit ahead of the game, because you guys are doing exactly what's going to be needed in the future, which is a real league. Do you feel like you might be left out of that, or?
No, I think it's arbitrary to say that you couldn't do that, because it's actually, I guess these organizations would be whatever you made them to be, right? And I guess that's probably the inherent flaws with
right.
a body that, if it's independent, it's not really producing any value. If it's not independent, they're going to put their wants and desires above everyone else's, or at least that would be the fear of that would happen. So I just don't seeing that work out. I think the only way it would work out is if CBS wants to put this on television, and they want to have a CBS desk that does coverage in a tour. So you'd have the CBS desk at DreamHack, and the CBS desk at an MLG, and then a CBS desk covering our finals. So that from that point of view, it works the same. So you'd have CBS coverage, or like CBS would cover, or Fox would cover any sort of sport. Is how I see that tour working.
Okay. So for you, it's the media aspect of it that kind of pulls it all together and brings the structure together.
Well, that'd be the storyline to, on television, that would be the storyline you'd be telling, is these are all the events going on, and
right.
Some of the players, it cross-pollinates, so there's some storylines there, and you can say, well, at this event, he performed this way, and now he's, going for this title on this weekend.
Right.
Do you think there needs to be the concept? I mean, I kind of get that, but do you think there needs to be a concept of just major championships? Because right now I feel like, I don't know. I feel like, when a tournament's happening, they win the tournament, the players talked about for maybe a week or two, and then you're just forgot about, right?
Right.
It's not something that kind of, I guess, goes down in history.
Well, it's kind of how much, what credentials goes, how many medals you have on your uniform at the end of the year. I've won these many things, and you're right, it's a small piece. But I mean, look, the world champion is going to be who wins WCS. That's probably the most full-body championship from all of the national qualifiers and champions to the continentals to the world championship. That's going to actually probably have the biggest crown.
Right, but
and that's Blizzard's prerogative. It's their game, so I think that's great that Blizzard can maybe have the undisputed heavyweight champion.
Okay.
Well, I think they can all claim it, though. I mean, you guys can claim a world champion. MLG claims one. IPL claims one. It is difficult unless you can come up with some sort of circuit.
There could also be, I mean, like if you do, like I brought up the undisputed heavyweight champion. That's the boxing model. Let's all give them belts, and there's an NASL belt. Then there could be a unification match to see who can, see if they can hold all the belts.
Right.
But where is that fight located? Who gets to stream it? Who has to pay for it?
I've already written all this out, so I have an idea, but I better not share it right now. But I think it could work. I really do. I think if you got it.
I'll sell the ads for it and the sponsorships. You can pay for the venue, and we've split it 50-50. That works good.
Yeah, the venue's the cheap part of it.
Right. Just make them play online and kind of have it be lackluster. They played. Here the game.
Just show split screen. Have them use webcams. Hey, look, they're together in the same room.
Right. Superimpose them. Yeah. Next to each other.
That's funny.
Yeah, looking at actually, it might bring down event costs a bunch if we just have them all. We'll just use the magic of Photoshop, like South Park style, where the.
So what would you like to see? CBSI seems to be the common point between all of you guys right now, and it seems to be, I guess the biggest. I think they have a lot of I guess power in their hands as to how the industry will do, I guess, in the coming year or years. What would you like to see happen from the standpoint of media and CBSI? I
think. I mean, there's a lot of content going on. out there, and there's like a lot of the long tail of like gaming streams on Twitch, which is great, which is people playing and individual personalities, but it's a lot of times I think the production value, because you can do cheap, quick, and dirty things on the internet. I would like to see more highly produced content. I think places like that give an outlet for it. I mean, CBS does, or GameSpot does lots of things for us. It's not just it's programming. It's an outlet for us on the different places that people get to see our content. It's promotion for us, and basically they're out there selling ads for the entire block of esports, through Twitch and owned. And the better job they do, and the more success they have there, is going to make everything that anyone does in this field that much more productive. We're going to get more back on it. We're going to be able to put more production into it. So that's pretty much all the game. And I think it was important that they actually went and got all those views, because now we don't have, I think, multiple people selling that only drives the price down. And one person kind of representing all that block, you're able to now give a bigger uplift when you're talking to the same ad people.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. So, I mean, in the meantime, from a standpoint of your product and your content, is there anything that you have in the pipeline that's going to try to help with that, or are you just completely just focused within what you guys are doing, and then just hopefully it'll sell itself?
Well, I mean, how I control that is put out a good product and keep raising that bar as far as our production goes. And I think that's the role that we fill is, MLG has been around a long time, and they have a partnership with GameSpot, but that day-to-day content and filling that void when you're selling all these views, this is going to be here every day, and we know it's brand safe and good content that advertisers would be happy to have their ads on. And I think that's an important part of the mix that we give in that block of views, because any given time on some random stream you can find some pretty sketchy things on whether it's as far as a sponsor or a advertiser, with the language sometimes it may not be for every sponsor, and some of them like it, but it's not for everyone. And I think some of the music and copyright infringements is rampant, I believe.
Yes.
And for the advertisements, you got to make sure we all play good in that world.
Yeah, I kind of wish Mark was here for this, because he's totally all about that. And I want to talk to you about. I'm glad you brought this up, and it's about sponsor-friendly content, right? And I think. And I think we overlook that. I mean, I think a lot of the gaming industry, and I can, there are definitely some even tournaments, I have to say, that, I think push it, right? I don't think they're necessary. I wouldn't say they're completely sponsor friendly yet they're still successful, right?
Well, but there's a place for that too. I mean, what I don't think I can't even read it here, but I think it was GD Studio on the top of their Twitch page.
Yeah.
There's someone that'll pay for that.
But I was looking at like the Howard Stern thing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know what you're getting when you turn on Howard Stern, and it's your choice to do that. And there is a place for it. I mean, people. I mean, shoot, if Jersey Shore can still be on television, there's definitely a place for some of the crap that's on the internet.
But it's that's not the role we've chosen to fill, and we're playing to our strengths. I mean, when we say our daily broadcasts and say, "Oh, well, you're not doing this," and it's like, well, I'm not going to try to fight someone on their own ground. We're going to play to our strengths and play our role, and that's why I believe we're here and we've been growing, is because we're filling something that's not everyone else, and being brand safe is something that has treated us very, very nice, very, very good over this time. And I think some of the opportunities that opened up is because we've been brand safe, or at least made a huge effort to.
Right.
That we've got another set of fines too for when someone live steps in the bucket.
Exactly. I mean, don't get me wrong, dude. I love I love that kind of content. Like the Too Good Stuff and just all that content. But the one thing I have to say is that you bring up Howard Stern. Well, there's regulatory organizations that that either find certain kind of content, or I mean, any kind of curse words are bleeped out, right? On that programming.
Well, but everyone's even agreed with Twitch. If you look at the terms of service, when you accept your account, you can't you can't do those things, or there is a list of rules.
I feel like that's even like very lax. I mean, whether the owner turns that on or not. I mean,
I guess there's two problems here. One is who could actually. I mean, Twitch isn't going to hire people to watch every second of every stream to sit there and do that. But the other thing is this stuff lives forever. So any of these problems they're put up there and they're not going away.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
So I guess they have all the time in the world to catch them, or if they're violations. But I mean, that's not. Those are two different things. Whether you have a terms of service violation or just having as long as you put the flag up, if you want to be a more mature content, that's fine. That's absolutely allowed.
Do you think it's? Do you think it affects, I guess, the acquiring of sponsors in any way, or just sponsors' kind of view of esports in any way?
Well, no. I mean, I think certain sponsors like that. They want it. That they want to push more of it. But I think it's some of the global brands. Once we get there, and I'm not saying we're there yet, right? But you wind up with any sort of Procter & Gamble product or Coca-Cola or something. They want to feel, But even just the ads that CBS is selling, it's not like a direct sponsorship. It's going to run across something, and you want to, maybe there's a certain area that they don't want to be able to put them on. So the only thing that limits is growth, and it's not. But I would say if you're in that world and you're getting very fruitful relationships with a direct sponsorship with someone who wants to promote that, I think that's they're doing a smart thing. They're giving the sponsor or advertiser what they want.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely. I just feel like in the industry right now, I feel like there's a little bit of a conflicting. I don't know. It's not a large amount of tension, but there's a little bit of trying to conform, I guess, to again, kind of more of the kind of cleaner, content, I guess, like kind of what you guys are doing versus, what I guess gamers have always been a little bit, I guess in a way not sponsor friendly, just with whatever. Whatever phrases we use and that sort of thing, right? And just, that's just how a character of a gamer has been in the past, right? So I think there's always talk of this type of thing. So I kind of wanted to.
I think we'll always, Chris. I think we'll always have some of that, but it's the organizations and those that are running the events that can kind of set the standard as far as how it should be done. If promoting to a sponsor or to sponsors and to a wider audience, it should definitely be done, in my opinion, in a more professional kind of sports orientated way where the content being pushed out is very much professional. It's very much about the game, about the league, about the matches, as opposed to some sort of joke that doesn't need to be said or something. It's much better to have it professional.
I think
that's the end of the day. It's you want to put something out there, and the viewer gets to choose what they want to see. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't think there's any right or wrong unless you have viewers or don't. I guess is the ultimate right or wrong.
Gotcha. Well, we only have a few more minutes left. John, do you have any questions for Russell? Otherwise,
yeah, actually I do. I mean, it was just a fleeting moment. I think we could have dived into it a little bit more. Do you have any hints on who this new person is that's coming in to be the new commish of the NASL?
Been very active in esports. We want to probably prepare it properly, and we'll put up those news articles that you like on the site there, and they'll talk about it with the broadcast. Because our main work week starts tomorrow as we go Wednesday to bring everyone in the office. So, and we'll give him a little bit of a break, as he's maybe coming up to speed. But it's I think it gives an opportunity to kind of where we can improve on a lot of the communications on our side, and this is going to help shore that up on our side.
Yeah, it's difficult when you do have somebody. Duran was he's definitely very good at what he does, but he was doing two things, and I can imagine that was he's doing two big things, to be honest with you. The CSL is definitely growing leaps and bounds as well.
All right, so new commish coming, guys. Just look for the announcement soon. But Russell, so I know you gotta get going, but do you have any shout outs you want to do before you gotta get going?
Oh, I appreciate you having me on, and to all the subscribers. We've talked a lot about sponsors. So the whole list of sponsors from NASL, you can, if you follow NASL at NASL TV on Twitter, we've got lists of all of our sponsors' Twitters, And the best way to let them know would be tweet at them, let us know. And no, thank you very much.
Yeah, it was a pleasure having you, man. And hopefully in the future we can have you on again. Maybe talk about NASL. I don't know, the next season, right before the next season, or something like that.
Finals location. I think in the next week we'll be telling people where they can go see the next finals. So there's lots of good stuff coming out, and
awesome.
as we go for that, I think we'll all be dead from events by then too. I think we'll be the last one. People will actually stagger to our event, kind of closing the year out before we all break for Christmas.
Whoops, what happened there? Jeez. Yeah, so whatever happened to December being quiet? December and January being quiet. That kind of went down the drain, I think, last year. So.
Well, for that one point is the ad world goes to sleep, so the events are harder to do.
That's true.
But I've got to run for my. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, Russell. All right, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you.
See you next time. All right, guys. Well, that was obviously Russell Pfister from NASL. It was a pleasure having him on. I think we got a lot of good questions in there. I tried to get as many in there as possible, just because I knew we didn't have him on for very long. And sorry about viewers. I know you guys probably wanted to do a Q&A with him too, but we will have him on again in the future. And hopefully next time we'll have him on for a little bit longer, and you guys can ask him your questions. But I figured since we have some more time here, that me and John, and I think Mark will probably hop on if he can, maybe towards the end of this. We just do like a mini, ask me anything type of session, because I know, I know a lot of the times we end up having folks, or we'll have a lot of call-ins that obviously ask the guest questions, or we have people in the industry call in, and so they take up a lot of that time. But I figured we spend a little bit of time and have you guys maybe ask me and John some questions. So you can either why don't we pull up the Reddit thread, John, and we'll kind of alternate, I guess, call-ins and
find it here.
And questions on the Reddit thread. Folks that are trying to call in, I will put you guys on. Just add me on Skype. My Skype ID is ChanmanV, and I will put you on. Justin, I'm going to pull you on, buddy. Don't worry. So this guy's just trying to call me over and over again. Let me bring up the Reddit thread real quick too, and we'll start taking some of y'all's questions.
Checking Reddit.
Yeah. So we have two threads. So guys, you gotta forgive me. I tried doing a earlier thread today or this week just to see how it would do, because I always make a Reddit thread just basically at 5 hours before the show, and I didn't really love how it was going, so I ended up making just my normal thread today. So we actually have two threads regarding climbing a ladder, but I'll probably just go back to the same on the day of thread that we had before. So any questions?
Post me the right one, because I can't seem to find the other one.
Okay, the other one you can link off there weren't too many questions on the previous one, but it's right here. Okay, let's take a caller in. Justin wants to call in, so I'm going to have to fix these. Screens here. Give me a second. All right.
And also, you guys can call in and talk about something that he said. I mean, obviously we can't answer for it.
Hello?
We can certainly bring it up.
Hey, Justin, what's up, buddy?
What's up, guys?
I know you've been trying to call this whole time. I'm sorry about that. But
I'm sorry about that. I mean, usually when I try to call into Inside the Game, I usually got to try to.
Yeah. It's like a radio station or something, right? Where you gotta. Yeah.
One question was actually, I wanted to direct it towards Russell, but since he's not here anymore, I mean, I guess I just want to hear your guys' thoughts. I guess yours and John's.
Okay, sure.
I guess I could kind of hear it when you asked him what Russell thought would happen if NASL turned into a Korean-only league, and it's NASL, so it's kind of messed up in a way. And if I was in Russell's position myself, I guess I'd be sort of anxious to see that happen, because everybody knows that if there are no foreigners left in the tournament or something like the NASL, viewership drops off, interest drops off, all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I would imagine Russell would have to be anxious over something like that occurring. What do you guys think about that? I guess I'm trying to wonder.
Well, I could speak ages on this. I mean, John knows. Yeah. And, I mean, I my opinion, you could probably hear it a little bit, is, I've always been a very, very huge advocate of building StarCraft 2. I mean, just building esports in NA, or in America in particular, in US, because the US has like this giant pie, right, when it comes to media and just being able to make money. And right now we have this like microscopic sliver right now, and obviously in Korea, obviously the pie is much smaller, but esports is a much bigger slice of that pie.
Well, hold on. They're eating our pie.
Yeah, okay. They're eating our pie.
I mean, a lot.
No. So don't get me wrong. I love the Korean players. Like, I have a lot of respect for the Korean players. I have a lot of sympathy for the Korean players too, just given like their current state right now too. So I have nothing against the Korean players. I want them to succeed too, but I feel like for the greater good of esports, I feel like it needs to grow here. And for me, the NASL, when it first launched in the, season 1, I was crazy excited about it. I think a lot of folks were too, because we thought this is going to be this is going to be like maybe similar to MLG first season, where we had like Idris and the Hucks winning championships, and like a lot of people just really excited about it, right? And
well, it's homegrown talent. It's people. It's closer to home, and you can feel. I mean, look at how what's happening in Europe. I mean, the Europeans love their European players, and they latch onto them, and it's a big deal. And there's a lot of support, a lot of more central support there. And I just feel like we've had such an influx of the Koreans that it's kind of taken away from that opportunity for us to kind of build our own love for some of the players that are here in North America.
Yeah, it's just a relative thing for me right now. It's like, again, like I think all the players need some love, but right now I feel like it's just so lacking here right now. And one of the things you can just look at is that, I think even Russell talked, I'm not sure if he talked about it online or not, or we talked about it offline, but, it's all about streaming at this point. It's all about, revenue that way versus live, just audience, right? I mean, look at the League of Legends finals. I mean, they filled the Staples Center, right? They probably made a crap load off of that, right? But when you go to like our StarCraft 2 tournaments, I mean, there's like, I don't know, what would you say, John? Like a 20th of that, a 30th of that, maybe?
Say that one more time.
Like, what do you think the actual attendance is at these, StarCraft 2 tournaments? Like IPL, I mean, I don't think the attendance is like great at IPL events. Just live attendance versus.
Oh, live attendance.
Yeah.
You mean what the makeup of the attendance is?
Not even the makeup, just the pure number. I mean,
it's not huge, but
it's There's a good number, but I don't know. I could just see those events filling stadiums too if it was just more popular here in the U.S. Or at least just somewhat popular. You know what I mean? So I've always been about doing projects and that sort of thing for our whether it's foreigners or just even NA only. Like, I wish there was an NA only type of league or that sort of thing. And yeah, it's not going to be.
I mean, if I could interject, the whole idea of like an NA only league. I mean, I guess I consider myself a pretty purist, hardcore fan. Like, I love the Koreans as well, but I'd love to see, like a white guy versus a Korean in finals. That would be awesome. And I think that would probably like hugely grow the interest and the scene. And but like right now it's just like Korean after Korean after Korean from like the round of 8 on. But personally, I want to do something about it. I want to like just not sit here and just take it up the ass. Started to be crude from the Koreans all the time.
We just got fined for that. Thanks.
Right? So,
damn, I gotta switch on my over 18. To
me, it just seems like American players, especially NA, need to get better, just like straight up, hands down. Otherwise, it's just like not competitive, and the scene isn't as big as it could be, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, I totally agree with you, but the thing is like we need to help our players get better.
Yeah,
and it's not. It's
it's just there.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of, the problem is there's a lot of players, and I talk to a lot of players, and they're at home, they sit at home, and they're just frustrated, and they're frustrated from a lot of standpoints, but. And I could go into detail. We could talk forever about just each individual thing they're frustrated about. But for me, it's just why not create just some type of place, like place where they can have some success, where they can build up a little bit and, get some confidence. They're lacking confidence. A lot of people are just lacking confidence when it comes to just going to these.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, so, yeah, anyways, that's kind of the gist of it for me.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
I mean, I just love StarCraft the game. I wanted to see it grow bigger in North America, especially. But right now, it just seems like this questionable, fuzzy area. We don't really know the answers, so we're just trying to try different things, I guess.
Yep. Gotcha. But thanks for your question, Justin.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, man.
Yep. Hey, Mark. What's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. You just missed Russell, but we're doing questions right now, so
sure.
Just in time for questions. All right, let me get these on here quick before.
John Clark, man, looks like a mugshot.
I am a mugshot right now. Tired.
I'm telling you, man, John is like an Alex Smith lookalike.
Really?
You
wish I was making his sort of money.
Oh God, no shit, man. That would be amazing. Okay, Okay, let's pull Adam in here. Adam's the next caller. I don't see too many questions on the thread, so we're just gonna be taking a lot of callers, I think.
That's fine.
So what we're doing is just kind of a mini AMA with me, Mark, and John right now, guys. So just ask your questions. Adam, you there?
Yeah, how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, buddy?
Not too much. Really like the show, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
So I ended up writing 2 questions in your Reddit, but I'm going to ask the one, and it's more of a general thing, and I didn't want to make it too personal, so my apologies if I did. But when we have casting, I think, and our ability to bring the games to the viewers is obviously, I think, a huge part of the industry. And so what can we as casters do then to essentially make content better and maybe get more people involved from the outside, get those viewers in, especially as independent casters? I don't have the name of IGN or MLG or these other big industries behind me. So what can we do to make it better for the viewers?
But part of your question was, how do we get more? I mean, what do we continue to do to get more views? And that's really the trick, because you can cast till you blue in the face, but if you're only casting to the same people within the same demographic, then we're really not growing it. So you could up your production value all you wanted, and you're still not going to be pulling in new people. But so that's the hard part. For you, one thing that we've had luck with at CSN is that we've managed to we've in the past, and we actually going to have about 6 this week, but we've run a lot of StarCraft 2 events, and we've always been open to bringing in more independent casters, maybe like yourself, that are looking for something to do, and then we bring them on, they continue to work with us, and then they seem to get noticed and leave us and go off and work for MLG or IPL or ESL or whatever. But that's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. And so I think for you, one of the first things is just start asking around. Start asking leagues and event organizers. Do you have? I'll cast the early rounds or something of a tournament. So that your main guy can have a break and just do the semis and finals. It's one of those things where you just got to keep going at it. Just got to keep doing it.
Sorry, not to stay on the mic here too long. I really appreciate that, John. You always shoot straight, man. I like that. And but what is, I guess I mean that even more in general, even those people who are in IGN, even those people who are in MLG, what is our role and what do we do to take it to the next level?
You go ahead, George.
I've got a quick comment about it. The one thing I would say is that I know one thing that I see in folks like Apollo, and sometimes I see them like, Bitterdam and that sort of thing, is, they know the players. They actually know them personally. They know them even from a standpoint of statistics and how they've been playing and that sort of thing. And I think that adds a lot, because whenever you're casting and you talk about the players, you talk about them even from like a personal standpoint, because in these tournaments we don't, it's the one issue with the tournaments, we don't actually get, there's not an intimate feel with the players. I don't feel like, maybe you get this interview after a match and it's kind of an awkward interview most of the time, but you never get you never get to know these players. So the casters in some ways are can be a medium for that. And it makes a big difference to me whenever like Apollo's talking about, I don't know, TLO or somebody, like this weekend or that sort of thing. Mark. Oh, can't hear you, Mark.
Sorry. I think that's a big. I think that's a big factor. Basically, a lot of the fans, they want to live vicariously through the player experience, and connecting the fan experience to the player experience is always going to be something that produces better results, not only as a caster, but also as a tournament, as an event, anything like that, but even as a team. But I think that to answer the question directly, the thing that casters can do today that a lot of casters don't do, that we need more casters doing, is evangelization, which is basically the act of motivating your audience to involve other people. That's really the key. It's great that you are enjoying this event, and it's great that you are, but here's what you can do. Tell a friend, tell a relative, send them to see, this video about what is esports. Basically provide some hooks, because a lot of fans, like last night I was on State Stream, and there was a guy in there, and he was like, wow, this kid is like so fucking good. Like, I used to miss Huck's stream, but now I don't anymore. He's like the foreign hope now. And I'm like, dude, please go to Reddit and post that. He was like, well, what do I say? I'm like, what you just said. Like, I mean, that's what we need. We need to motivate fans to like get out there and get the word out and not be so shy. Don't just enjoy this, but tell the world, speak from the highest, turret in the town, as loud as you can about how great this is and how other people should enjoy it too.
Yeah, I mean, because as a caster, you have the mic, right? You have the platform, especially the guys who are doing the big tournaments. So, if Day 9 actually goes and tells us, hey, go grab your neighbor right now and drag him over to your house like right now. It sounds funny, but you know what? Some folks will actually go and do it, and it'll have some tiny bit of impact, but.
And we got to remember. We got to remember that esports, we gain each fan one at a time.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Cool. Thank you so much, guys. Yep. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
All right, we got Adelund. I don't know how to pronounce that. Is Adelund? Is that right?
Yeah, it's Adelund.
Adelund. Hey, how's it going, buddy?
Hey, it's going great. I have two questions.
Okay,
First,
great.
The first question is regarding the way that they're approaching advertisement in Korea, as opposed to, sorry for my bad accent, I'm from Denmark.
Oh, it's not bad.
As opposed to
it's a cool accent, man. It's badass. Come on.
Thank you. I was looking at the way that they're advertising because I was watching the Korean stream on GosuCoaching because I was kind of interested in more like different streams. But the point is, I was seeing very different points of view on how they advertise in Korea as opposed to in the US with the NASL and stuff. And my question is, is the next step to convey the messages in these advertisements that you have in the US to the Korean audience, or is it just a matter of matter of convenience that you can actually stick to the English because they try to do their best with the English advertisements? Because I think we can, if we translate some of those advertisements about Kings and HyperX and Evil Geniuses and all the leaks and stuff, if they translate all that stuff and put it in Korea, I think they have a, what's it called in English? What's the word?
Conversions or
outreach.
Or reach. Okay, right.
Oh, they increase the reach.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, like a wider audience, like more people to appeal to with the.
I think that's a good.
product.
That's a good point. I also think there's another hinge point there, and that is that if you look at Korean pop culture versus, let's say, Western pop culture, generally speaking, Western pop culture tends to respond to different hooking in advertising than does Korean culture. So, for example, in Western culture, we want to know about like features and benefits. We want to know about the value proposition, and we want to know about how it makes things easier for us. Whereas in Korean pop culture, it's all about like Gangnam Style, and it's all about like Hollywood-esque fashionista. It's all about like, sexy and makes you like look really like chic, and so That's why you see a lot of the products there are like, like fashion products or like a hair care product or like a fragrance and stuff like that. That you don't really see fragrances sponsoring U.S. esports events.
Yeah, okay, that's why they have Monsieur J sponsoring GSL.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
It has to do with the audience. But I also think too that I think that the esports fans respond like with a lot of affinity to GSL broadcasts. I think far more so than they do, let's say, big, large-scale events like MLG or IPL. Like Dr. Pepper is cool, but everybody already knows what Dr. Pepper is. And maybe you buy Dr. Pepper or whatever, but like Monosaur J, like, does anybody really know who they are? Like, how many people who watch GSL do you think went and searched Monosaur J? I did.
Yeah. I can see what you're coming at,
I
but my initial thought was if you, for instance, translate Kingston HyperX commercials from Evil Genius, if they made a partnership and like paid in order to get some ROI from the commercials, if they translate into Korean and put them on GameNet, because that's on broadcast on national TV. Unless I'm wrong.
Well, I guess you could. You don't have to do an exact port of the same commercial. You could just have Puma do it instead, right?
Yeah.
Instead of Idro or whoever. But
That's a sick idea.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool.
Idea.
Yeah, we can even extend that. Like, why haven't the tournaments tried to
why hasn't
penetrate?
Thorzing done it in Swedish?
Yeah, well,
Seriously,
okay.
the second largest.
Sure.
The second
He has
largest.
his,
Sure.
he has in Swedish världens bästa fan. His world's best fan, the commercial from DreamHack.
Yeah, right. Look, Sweden is the second largest
Denmark.
viewing ship, right? There's like the United States and then Sweden. As far as global esports events go, you'd be surprised that there isn't more stuff in Swedish, or at least Swedish, Swedish subtypes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, I think that you have a really good point.
Yeah,
I think you have a really good point. And I think that's something that Evil Geniuses, for example, who does a lot of these spots, should really consider, because they're producing a lot of the content that's going on a lot of these streams.
Yeah.
But I also think, too... Go ahead.
My last question, just to round off so other people can ask questions too. My second question is about the GSL finals. All skills set aside and stuff, and with the Royal Road are eliminated in rain, so he's not going to be the next Bunch Boy, unfortunately, because to become a Bunch Boy, you have to be in finals constantly. My question is, do you guys think that life has what it takes to break the Startail curse? Because I watched Rainbow Hope Torture in the first GSL, died GSL Fruit Dealer, and it really hurt my heart. And I even watched, I'm actually so old, I watched Junri die to Boxer in 2000.
I'm not allowed to answer this question because A, I'm partnered with Startail, they're like family. And
I'll
B,
answer it.
Okay.
I think Life will break it. Because he's playing freaking sick. I think he'll break the curse. Or the curse. That's the Startail curse.
I just feel like when you think about Startail, it was also looking very good for Squirtle, but then it got cheesed in Game 7 on Cloud Kingdom.
Well, that was...
my heart.
Yeah.
And you have to have the balls to cheese in that map, in map 7.
Yep, you do, and that's, a lot of the champions are, have that mentality.
I guess that's why Don Ragu has won GSL title and MVP has fallen.
Yep. So yeah, I think Life will pull it off.
I think that MVP is going to be the king for a while to come. I am MVP.
Yeah,
we said that about Xavier too.
Yeah. Well, I know I've had him on my team for a time, and he's like so scary, dude.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you for taking my questions.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thanks for watching, buddy.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, you too.
Hey, Chris,
Bye.
I'm going to just address something here in the meantime while we get our next caller on the line.
Yeah.
There's a little chat that's been going on in the media, in the chat here about like media exposure, like mainstream media exposure, and like big shows, and like we need to be on TV, we need to be on, the Tonight Show, we need to be on all this stuff to try to tell people what esports is, and I completely, thoroughly disagree with that, because, let me tell you why. Because I think that being on the Tonight Show and having like a 5-minute spot for esports in front of the whole country is not going to make people go and check it out. It's got to be somebody that that lives down the street, somebody that you trust, somebody that you admire and respect the opinion of, to say, hey, look, you really need to like actually give this a chance and pay some attention to this, because it is truly, truly badass. Like, nobody on TV is going to be able to convince me of that.
Yep.
Just wanted to say that.
Yep, I agree with that. Guys, if you want to call in, go ahead and add me on Skype. My Skype ID is ChanmanV, and I'll pull you into the call. But we'll take some off of the screen. Let's see, what else is going on Stream Chat here? Just, if you guys don't have Skype, go ahead and ask your questions on Stream Chat, and we'll answer them. Let's see. Okay, so why haven't any major casters ever appeared on the Tonight Show? Is that what you were getting at? Ever appeared on the Tonight Show, and how do we get to a point where like Day 9 shows up on a show like that to talk about esports? I mean,
Well, that's kind of what Mark.
That was kind of what you were talking about, right?
It's kind of hitting on. And somebody's asking, well, the last part is, the comparisons between physical sports is what they were talking about too. But no, they were talking about a lot of people think there's this huge gap between social gaming and esports, and I think it's like 2 degrees of separation, and that's it. I mean, it may even be less, because at the heart of it, people that are playing Frontierville, and I brought this up many times, and you and I have talked about this before, Chris, too, and I think maybe we've had you in the conversation before, Mark, too, but, they're really, there's 15 million people or something like that playing Frontierville. It's still a competitive game. It's just not what we perceive esports to be, because it's not flashy, it's not casted, it's not, mano-y-mano, one-on-one. But that doesn't mean that it's not competitive. And then we can, of course, always get into the whole thing of what makes a game an esport. And I'll just say it, I think any game can be an esport, but I'd have to explain that later. But anyway, the point is that there's 15 million people playing that. All you have to do is start to tweak things just enough so that they start to see that there's a little bit more past just sitting at your computer on Facebook playing the game. I mean, if Frontierville just put in a little bit more of me versus you sort of thing, you're getting one step closer. And I don't think the gap is that big. And I think, to me, if we want to get to the next level of mainstream, I guess, we just have to bridge that gap a little bit more.
I mean, okay, are we going to talk about this?
Sure, you can talk about it.
I mean, because if we're going to talk about this, I mean, I have like a million things to say about, mobile, basically, because, I work in the mobile industry, and I make games, I make apps, and for me, I agree with that. I think it's a different space. It's not esports, maybe it's like M sports. I know there is a term M sports out there, but it's a different space, but it is, you can create competitive gaming. And you can appeal to the masses with it. And, it's definitely something that I've been trying to experiment with. I've just put it out there. I've talked to David Ting about it, but David has a different view of what it should be than I do. So we haven't done anything with them about it. But, for me, I feel like just create competitive game,
it's pretty common with David Ting, isn't it?
Well, I mean, David's a good guy. But,
I love David. I do. I love him. But yeah, he has very differing opinions from a lot of folks.
Yeah, but it's as simple as leaderboards. Like go to Bejeweled Blitz. John, me and you compete like on this. You can compete against all your Facebook friends, right?
And we actually do compete. We give each other.
And we do. Yeah, and we do compete. But think about that. Think about let's say I have a popular game like Angry Birds, and I can appeal to like freaking 100 million people global or whatever, 500 million people global, and all I do is say, hey, for the next week, whoever has the highest score wins wins $10,000 or wins $5,000.
I mean, prize money. Does that not make it an esport? I mean, by some people's
no, it doesn't.
It's not viewable. It's not viewable, though.
It doesn't.
It's not
Spectatorship is what makes it an esport.
That's where we disagree. Yeah. I don't think an esport means it has to be viewable.
Well, I think you're right. I think you're right, but I mean, like, you can call it what you want and the semantics of it, but an like whatever it's called, if it's not viewable and it's not spectatable and there's no fan base, there's no micro celebrity, then it's not conforming to what we call this industry.
Well, I completely disagree. I mean,
well, that's why I say it's not esports.
8 years ago, we didn't even have Twitch, and you're saying that Quake was not an esport? It's the epitome of esports. And there was no viewership. There was people showing up at the event. But you take Twitch away, and we still have esports. It's just different. I would say that Twitch and streaming is a bonus to what esports can be. But there's lots of things that we could make into esports. I mean, there was a whole circuit of Guitar Hero, and that's actually fun to watch. But it kind of just went away. Does that mean it was any less of an esport?
Well, that's the whole point. Somebody just says if we could live stream Farmville with XSplit and have somebody show us the sickest farms, that'd be cool.
There you go. So that's esports, according to people that view media.
No, but John, I mean, okay. I mean, this is like rehashing like my discussion with David Ting, basically. I mean, if you watch two people playing let's just say bejeweled blitz against each other live, what do you see? I mean, you don't see. I mean, you're watching a simple game. I mean,
sports can be sports too, right?
I think that's once again though that's the fundamental flaw though. I mean, it's not just about the game, right? In StarCraft, the game's like 20% of the equation. It's about the personas. It's about the drama. It's about who's fucking who. It's about all this kind of stuff that has nothing to do with the game itself, right?
No, it's true, Mark. But the games that are popular that we're talking about, I mean, we're talking about mass appeal, are simple games.
No, right? You're right.
You know, I mean,
and I think that we can encourage the competitive spirit by community play. Look, I think that at the basis point, the fundamental success of esports long term is a community-based player ecosystem. Where, and look, if you look at MLG, the reason that they grew is because it was come play with the pros and then watch them when you're knocked out. I mean, it's the same thing with like Call of Duty. Call of Duty could become the biggest esport in the world with Black Ops 2 if they do it right.
Lots of console games could be, if they do it right. But they haven't done it right for years. Well, and I don't think streaming had anything to do with it.
Well, okay, like here's an idea. I still believe in competitive, like this M Sports or whatever, just call it for now. This competitive place where you can just of course, do leaderboards and for money. Like people can play all around the world a free game for money. Okay, and for me, it benefits the content, like the actual content producer, because obviously it advertises their game. But for me, it creates an ad channel too. So why doesn't MLG, IPL try to get Zynga to sponsor sponsor them, and maybe Twitch and IPL, Twitch and MLG, Twitch and somebody get Zynga sponsor their event and what they're doing, and then all of a sudden you have an ad channel from a mobile standpoint. They have a link every time the game loads. It could say, "Go and watch this event." Clicks on it, brings up the Twitch mobile app right there. I mean, it's like an amazing.
So that's just an ad buy. It's just an ad buy.
It's an ad buy, but it is an ad.
Esports is not an ad buy. Like esports right now is like largely an ad buy, and that's the problem. Like if you look at the teams that I think are like the brands that command the clout that is an endorsement, that's where we want to be. Like sports is endorsement. Sponsorship is about community goodwill. It's not about impressions. It's not about conversions. Like,
but we need that critical mass first before we can get to
Ford makes motor cars. That has nothing to do with baseball. Nothing.
Right.
Yet they give the Philadelphia Flyers $2 million a year, or Philadelphia Eagles, or whatever the hell.
Right, so, but we're in the standpoint of trying to reach that critical mass. That mass that you're talking about, where you can have that happen versus trying to get that exposure, which is it's kind of like it is pretty similar to ad buy, but that's what we need at this point, I feel.
Yeah, I agree, and I think what John's saying is correct in the sense that there is, from a competitive player-based community standpoint, there's a whole new frontier that can be conquered in these smaller mobile games, or in games that are free to play, or in games that have in-game in-client built ladder systems and cups and stuff like that. And that's a great way to get people involved and get people turned on to the competitive spirit of gaming. But I think that, in the long run, like what we really need is a large viewer to player ratio. And of course, most of those viewers are players themselves, maybe not of the game that they're watching, but of some other game. And I think the key is being able to tie those two things together, being able to tie people who are like playing, Farmville into watching StarCraft,
Yeah, but let's admit, we're as gamers, even the people that play Farmville, a new game pops up, we all try it once. Most of us do.
Yeah, I mean, if it's free, of course. I think everybody does.
I tried Farmville. Just wasn't my cup of tea, but at least I know what it is now.
My whole thing is, we just have to expose the whole concept of competitive gaming, or playing games for money. And I feel like we can do that. We can do that easily. Actually, it's pretty easy for a mobile developer to write an API where, John, CSN can literally just create an event that's like $1,000, $2,000, and boom, all you have to do is put a leaderboard on your website, and after 2 weeks, whatever duration, that person wins $1,000, and they see.
I think that's a really true point, but I think the fundamental thing is that even the Farmville player, even the Call of Duty player, most of them, they're not the hardcore gamer. And I think that John's point is that our demographic, our whole activity right now is hinged, or it's built around the hardcore gamer. I think he's asking, in a way, the underlying question. Is that really good for the activity? Should we be widening the scope? Should we be appealing more to casual gamers? How do we do that more? Should we include other titles that aren't necessarily hardcore, like StarCraft? I think that's the point that League of Legends does, right? League of Legends takes, and everybody goes, oh, but the game's crap. It's like Minecraft, and and it looks like trash, and it's so easy to play. You don't even need to have a blah to win, and But you know what? More people play it, so more people watch it.
But again, had Riot, as the developer, not put millions of dollars into making it, what some people consider to be an esport, which is viewable and tournaments and all this stuff, had they not done any of that, we wouldn't be talking about League of Legends right now as an esport, regardless of how many players it has.
That's because our whole industry is built around the hardcore gamer demographic, because the only people that are funding it consistently and reliably are the niche companies that sell high-quality gaming gear for a premium price to those people.
Well, it's also because it's because those are the only people that understand the game. And that's kind of why this whole mobile discussion is, because everybody understands these mobile games. Because they're simple. You know what I mean? League of Legends, I mean, you doesn't matter how much you have, like, a lifestyle of sponsors and whatever, like Show My Wife, the League of Legends. She ain't going to watch it, but she sits there and plays Bejeweled Blitz and, all these mobile apps on her iPad, all night.
Yeah, my wife plays these stupid little mobile apps, and she hates gaming.
Yeah, and she's a gamer. So that's what I'm.
She's a gamer, and if we can just get to that point where we add one or two more elements to their experience in the mobile gaming, they're going to get one step closer to understanding what it is that their 14-year-old kids do in the basement all night. There's a disconnect there. I mean, she's in her game.
Exactly right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because what happens on game battles is just as character building as playing on a youth soccer team.
Yeah, exactly. It's just people don't see that. They don't see it because they don't understand it. So you bridge that gap just a little bit more, and we bring the two together in some way. I mean, it's not going to be perfect. I mean, Farmville and Quake Live are not going to coexist in the same space. It's just not going to happen. But
I would love to see that Dota 2. The tournament, remember that, when they had to play at the International when this caster went crazy? And then the camera pans and it's Farmville?
No, really? That'd be, okay. Or you're running around like in a Farmville map on Quake Live. That'd be great. Just bridge the two there. But it's great. It's just finding a way in which, I mean, actually, the fact that I just said that is very true. I mean, imagine Quake Live creating a map that was that incorporated a bunch of Farmville stuff, and then Farmville kind of did some cross promotion of like, hey, check this out. Our little game got used in this Quake Live. It's not that somebody needs to come play Quake Live. It's that they need to now understand what Quake is, or they need to understand what MLG is. I mean, somebody was talking the other day, and they didn't. Where did I see this? It was people. I was sitting and listening to people, and they were talking. It was at my college, and they were talking about gamers and did you hear that these tournaments at this MGL stuff, and they couldn't get it right, but they were close, and we just need to connect the dots there so that they do get it, so that it is MLG, not MGL, and that it's we just got to find a way to get to. Shorten that gap.
What's kind of interesting is that I feel like MLG has, they it's not like they haven't dabbled in this. They just kind of done it a little half-ashes. I mean, that's like, there's no other way I can put it. And because Sony Ericsson is one of their sponsors, and they've had this kind of leaderboard thing that I've been talking about, but it's always been with a very sophisticated like shooter that costs like $7 to buy. They've never actually tried to do it with a free game, and I mean, they already have a sponsor that's in the mobile industry, so it just boggles my mind sometimes.
You guys are going to have to extend the conversation. I got to take my son to his match, actually, which is.
All right, how about 10 more minutes? 10 more minutes of questions. Let's say.
Yeah, because it's a good question. This guy wanted to ask, and it's directed to you, Chris. He says, "How do you think? How do you think about organizers and Blizzard deciding not to let foreigners from the Western world not buy a ticket to watch WCS World Finals finals in Shanghai. You might want to read up. I actually don't quite understand it, so you might want to read
Yeah, I
up.
didn't even know that was the case.
I didn't even know that either. So.
Yeah, he knows something about it, and he had asked earlier if he could ask a specific StarCraft 2 question. I said absolutely. So.
Okay, so they're not letting people buy WCS World Finals tickets?
Or you mean like online spectator passes or like in-person tickets?
It can't be online spectator. That would be crazy, I think.
They shanghaied the tickets. That's funny. Okay.
They shanghaied the tickets. Oh, snap.
That was a good
okay,
one, man.
I've got to head out, but
all right.
Good stuff today, guys.
Yeah,
thanks,
definitely.
John.
All right, thanks, John.
Glad you showed up, Mark. It was good.
Yeah, man, thanks.
Yeah,
Later. Let's see what other questions. I don't know what to think about it because I don't really know much about it. I think it would be a bad idea to do that. I mean, that's...
So it's the stage tickets. The stage tickets.
There aren't going to be many people going to it anyways, I don't think. But so why even bother?
Honestly, like every Chinese event that's ever happened in esports history, like WCSs and stuff like that, they've had like such a huge number of like spectators in the audience. Like these are the events that like 30,000 people show up to.
Well, they got 3 trillion people there.
Yeah, I know. So I mean, who knows? I mean, I wouldn't even. I would bet if they're doing it for some reason that actually is more logistical or tactical than it is like trying to,
Yeah, certainly. It's not trying to exclude us, I don't think. But I think, I don't know. I don't know why they would do it.
I don't know enough about it.
Yeah, I don't either. So, all right. Any other questions, guys? Let's see. Trying to go up here. Did I miss any? Actually, there's some on the... Let me see the Reddit. The Red thread actually has a couple I didn't read. Okay, is there any comparison we can draw from physical sports during the depressions and the start of their growth towards esports? What lessons can we learn from it? The depressions... Man.
When people are bored, they want to be entertained. Which I think to a certain degree, if you look at the unemployment rate of really high technology people and the unemployment rate of like the types of people that would watch esports, and you correlate that with 2011's explosion of esports and spectatorship in StarCraft in the West, it's to a certain degree not surprising.
Yeah. Very, very true. I mean, it's hard to, I mean, baseball, when it started, was a different time, you know. I mean, all of them really started in a different time than it is now. So, I mean, it's hard to draw direct comparisons, but they all had rough times before they. I mean, like the basketball, right? There were two major organizations.
Basketball and football were a disaster for 30 years before they picked up.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I guess maybe the lesson to draw is that we have to be patient. Maybe it's not the best thing to have, but let's see. Do you see SC2? Do you see StarCraft 2? I guess surviving in the esports category, comparing with League of Legends and Dota 2? Will you cater to one game more than the other? I guess that's the question probably for Russell. Didn't get a chance to ask him about.
I see it surviving a long time because it survived a long time already, and it's got a heritage to it and a very strong player-based community behind it, and. Mm-hmm. And the difference between my Dota players or StarCraft players or if I had League of Legends players is, for example, is that the StarCraft players, although they may not produce like a high return consistently, they produce a tangible value return. Like it's quantifiable to a certain degree, and I can tell that like sponsors are willing to pay for it because the StarCraft demographic has, like in large part, has access to cash and is willing to spend it. Now, that being said, I think the other demographics are going to get to be bigger, but I think that the heritage of StarCraft will keep it hanging on. I also think, too, that the teams and leagues have invested a god-awful amount of money in StarCraft.
Yes.
And even though the viewership has somewhat dropped off online from like a player streams perspective, the viewership in Arena seems to be pretty much stable or growing slightly per event.
Right.
It's just covered up by the massive League of Legends growth.
Yes.
Which will taper off too, no matter how much money Riot keeps putting into it. Because you know what? I can speak, like with experience. We put a lot of money into SC2 last year, like all of us, the entire industry did. And the more money we put into it, did it grow? I mean, not really. It grew, But if we'd put half as much money in it, would it have grown just as much? I think so. It was organic. It was wildfire. It was from the people.
Yeah.
It was democratized. We just had to respond to it. And I think that we responded hoping that there would be more growth, but that then it tapered off. And we're like, fuck.
I mean, I think the biggest, if you were to look at the statistics, I think the biggest telling point would be just the ratio of viewers to players at this point. Folks actually playing StarCraft 2 versus just the viewership, and that ratio is much, much better than League of Legends. I bet. I mean, League of Legends, we're talking about 32 million people playing the game, right? So when you get a million people, I guess concurrently watching it, I mean, it's pretty good. But look, I mean, what do we have? Like 200,000 people playing StarCraft,
and like 100,000 of them are fans of esports at some level. It's like a 50% ratio. I mean, it's even great. The people who play the game just casually know who Naniwa is, or know who Evil Geniuses is, or Quantic, or whatever.
Right.
And the reason for that's because if you play the game, you know how hard it is, and you know how good those people are. You see them playing, and it's like you're watching an entirely different game. You're like, literally, like you watched State last night on his stream, and State's like, not like a super heavy known player, and you watch him play Masters Zerg, and you're like, how did he just did what? How did he hold that? He's going to win? Are you serious? Yeah,
I mean, it definitely the individual aspect of StarCraft, definitely is different from. I mean, it allows for each of the players to have more of a personality in the sport, right? And whenever you're on a team, it's harder to do that, right? Like when League of Legends team, you're talking about TSM. Obviously, everybody knows each of the players in TSM, but are any of them just the crazy personality? In the industry, I mean, I don't know to the level of like StarCraft, so it's just different. It's very, very different. Okay, it says, do you see a foreigner winning the GSL at any point? I hope so. I'm always going to say yes. So I'm the bad person to ask.
I hope so too, but I think that I don't know how.
Yeah.
It's just that the skill gap keeps growing, and I don't really know what's going to close that skill gap.
I don't see. Okay, I kind of disagree with that a little bit, because it's always been a pretty decent sized gap from the majority. If you take an average from the foreigners and average of the Koreans, it's a pretty big gap. But I think there are a few foreigners, and it's been like this for a year or two, where they can compete on that level. They're not the best, but they can compete in that high level, and that's all they're really asking is like, can one person do it? And I think they can. I just don't. It's just going to take a special person that's willing to just basically probably just live in Korea and just be there forever. I don't know, and and try to win GSL. But it's not probably the most realistic thing. But I'm a dreamer, so.
Viewer to player ratio. That is the key. Tumescent Pi is right.
Yep.
Basically, if Blizzard was to put more money into this game, the way they put more money into the game is by working with the existing structure of folks that's already evangelizing it. Because evangelization from one player to the other is the best way to spread the wildfire of esports. Democratized gaming, wildfire, evangelization, it all starts with one little group of dudes. One little group of terrorists started the United States. They had a singular idea in one person's mind, in one person's head, that spread like wildfire over an entire nation, or what was to become a nation.
Yeah.
It's the same thing in esports, man. It only takes one person to talk to one other person to gain one more fan.
Exactly. Now you just have to own it, man. Like a lot of there's probably some closet folks out there that don't tell their friends that they're watching video games all night and doing that sort of thing. But just gotta own it and let everybody know, because this industry. I mean, we have the people. I just lots of folks have said that we actually have a lot of the numbers. It just hasn't quite happened yet. Let's see, what else we got here? Only a few more, guys, because I got to go in about 5 minutes. Let's see. I think that's... I don't see any other questions, Mark. You see any other questions?
One asked a question about, do we need TV? It was directed towards you.
Do we need TV? Really?
Do we need does esports need TV?
I don't think esports needs TV. I mean, I don't think TV hurts. I just think if we put a lot of emphasis on the fact that we're on TV, and then it fails, and we're kind of reliving history again. So I don't think we actually need it. I think streaming is the future, anyways. Like, streaming online is the future. I mean, look, I was watching the Too Good show just right before here while I was setting up for this, and I think Hellspawn was talking about just the Red Bull event, right? What's his face? I forget his name right now. Jumping, just doing the sound barrier thing, right? And there were a lot of folks that were not typical online streamers watching that event, and I think from the standpoint of getting folks to I guess watch media online. I mean, that was really a successful event because folks are crazy. They want to watch somebody that I don't know might kill themselves online, and I think a lot of folks.
That's a bad example on Justin TV since they had somebody do that.
Oh, okay. Well,
just kidding. It's okay.
I didn't mean it like that, but I think that's the draw for folks watching some crazy event like that. And
you want to watch Maximus Black go, "They make me feel." See, man?
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, dude.
They like that too, but but I think again, I think they gained a lot of viewers, or just from the standpoint of people watching online streams. That was really, really cool. So yeah, I answer your question.
Something to be said too for people just getting more acclimated to watching online streams. Period. I mean,
yeah.
I think being able to get online streams on the television set, like for me with like Apple AirPlay and stuff, has been huge. I mean, that's definitely exposed more people in my family to online streams, but, yeah, the couch potato audience, exactly, that's what they just asked in the question. Like, like being able to basically tune into Twitch with your, like, TV, like, by default, that would be huge, like, if TVs came Twitch ready.
It would be, but I feel like, and absolutely, the living room experience is a huge, huge part of
it really is.
everybody's daily life, or at least the majority of families' daily life. But I think the iPad, like those tablets, are starting to penetrate that experience. And so, Twitch, obviously, there's a Twitch app. I mean, there's streaming apps on these devices, and I think, like me, yeah, I'll sit on the couch, I'll be watching whatever DreamHack or whatever while I'm watching a football game on the couch, but I'm watching DreamHack on my tablet. So it's there's different devices now that I think are integrated in that experience that are not the TV.
Yeah. I think also too it's important to understand that that like the whole difference between TV and Twitch or like online streaming is it's a directive audience. Yeah. So on Twitch, they come to us. Like, they go to their computer and they decide directively that I'm going to go watch this. Whereas on TV, it's a broadcast medium, and it's just whoever's tuned into that channel gets the content, which is great because it adds to the exposure, but how much of that exposure is real? Yeah. Like, we know when we have 480,000 people watching the MLG Nationals in Providence, like, there's 480,000 directive audience people tuned in. Whereas, like, if it's the 600,000 for the NCAA, NBC doesn't really know if like people just had TVs on or they just happened to be watching in the background or whatever. And that makes a huge difference in the advertising conversion ratios and how much ad fill and ad buy you actually get.
Yeah, it's not dumb views, basically. They're actual monetizable views. So
Right. That was what I was trying to say. Yep.
Good stuff. All right, guys. Well, we're going to have to call it a day. And Mark, I'm glad you came on for the Q&A. But overall, I think the show was good. And next week, guys, we're going to have... Oh, I just put together this next week because originally I was just going to have Anna Prosser on, talk about media, and maybe Rachel on, but we couldn't get a hold of Rachel in time. So I'm going to actually have In Control, EG In Control on, RC In Control on here. And so we're going to have both EG folks, Anna and Jeff on here to talk about, I guess what they're doing over there in EG from a standpoint of media and sponsor promotion and just all that good stuff. And so it should be a really, really great time. It's going to be Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, just our normal time here. So be on the lookout for that. Should be a good one. But Mark, got any shout outs at this time?
Twitch, Razer, Machinima Versus, DV Vision, Alienware, who's getting us some equipment for our house. And, of course, our partners, StarTale, and all of our players in Korea right now, Sase, State, and Illusion. State and Illusion, who are going to be competing in the WCS Finals. And, of course, all of our staff and friends and fans and supporters, we love you all.
All right. And let's see, my shout-outs, I guess I'll give a shout-out to... Who do I give a shout-out to? I guess I'll give a shout out to my mods. Actually, I don't even know if my mods are available today, but I never do. So let me give a shout out to my mods for always helping out with obviously modding the channel and any warning me whenever something's wrong that I didn't know, like the mic today. So yeah, just a big shout out to those guys, and obviously you Mark, for co-hosting with me today, and John, and
Temes and Pi and Adeland.
Yes.
In our chat.
Yes.
I also too follow the stream. Really helps me out. And
no, it's like my
my stream, like the video, If you've ever been killed by a FAMAS, favorite the video. If you've ever killed anybody with a FAMAS, like the video, really helps me out.
If you like dogs, like the video. If you like cats, favorite the video, please.
And thumbs it up for me. That really helps me out. If you could give us a follow on Twitter as well, ChanmanV and Quantic Synergy would be awesome, so you can hear the latest musings and murmurings and useless thoughts of two men in esports who have nothing better to do. But
oh, come on.
I have lots of things that are better to do, but they still don't stop me from thinking about it all the time.
Exactly.
Why? Because I like this shit too much.
Exactly. All right, guys, that's going to be it for this week. We'll see you next time. Peace.
Thanks.